There are two things that don't get talked about nearly enough. How amazing Norm Macdonald was as the Colonel in the KFC commercials, and just acoustic guitar soloing. So today we're going to talk about soloing on acoustic guitar. I've been through it. I've been through the acoustic gigging thing where I'm looping and kind of soloing, and I do feel like it actually is a little bit different than electric guitar soloing in certain ways. So that's what we're going to talk about today, okay? So the way we're going to do it is I'm just going to set up a simple guitar loop in the key of C, and we're going to talk about just kind of like some tips and stuff in learning 3 different positions that will always get you in some cool acoustic guitar stuff, right? You may notice I'm rocking the Fishman Loudbox Mini. This video is sponsored by Fishman. I've been using the Loudbox Artist for a lot of my acoustic gigs recently, especially the busking ones, but this one is on sale. So this one's $50 off, and it comes with a free padded cover if you want to get it for a limited time. If you're looking for a cool amp that has just 1/4 inch in, some controls here, reverb, chorus, and you can also plug a microphone into it, and it has line out so you can record all your stuff. So you're going to hear this, but what we're going to do is we're going to start looping something in the key of C. So I'm just going to do like a C major 7 to a D minor to an E, right? Okay, so I can turn that up a little bit. That's just going to be our loop in the key of C, all right? And I'm just controlling it with the gain here, right here. But what we're going to do is going to sound something like this. Okay, so there's just really 3 things that I'm doing here that you can apply to pretty much everything, any kind of key that you're playing in. But I do think that a great way to think about maybe soloing on an acoustic guitar is starting with 1 note here on the G string, the 5th fret, okay, and ending all the way up here on the 15th fret of the high E string. So we're going to talk about the notes in this key from here to here, okay? There's going to be 3 different kind of methods and techniques that we can kind of use to find all the notes here on the highest 3 strings, okay? So first of all, let's just play the notes in this key, starting here on that C. Okay, so I've got 5, 7, B string, 5, 6, 8, high E string, 5, 7, 8. So again, this is just a C major scale, right? You can just really mess around in just this, right? Like if I was going to play something. All right, and just in that area, you have an infinite amount of things that you could do. But what I want to talk about, why this is specifically like an acoustic guitar related thing, is because usually if you're soloing on acoustic guitar, you're probably soloing over either your own acoustic guitar in like a looping environment or maybe with another acoustic player, okay? So my philosophy is to really kind of throw out the E, A, and D strings. Now on electric guitar it's cool because you can maybe like run up into stuff from the lower strings into the higher strings. It kind of gets lost in the shuffle in an acoustic environment, right? See, there's so much competition. But once you get right there, that's that sweet spot where it kind of starts to, you're in a different register and a different frequency, and it really helps a lot, okay? So we're throwing out the E, A, and D strings, which makes it that much simpler, right? So again, these are the notes in that scale. The other thing that I really notice myself doing on acoustic guitar soloing rather than electric guitar soloing is I do more sliding and less bending. Generally, acoustic guitar strings are going to be thicker, right? I use 12s for the most part on my acoustic guitars as compared to 10s on electric guitar. So if I want to get like a whole step bend on an acoustic guitar, you really gotta power it up. A lot harder to do, and it is harder on your fingers, and your fingers are gonna pay the price, especially if you're doing like a 3 or 4 hour like acoustic set, like I've been used to doing, right? So what I'll do, maybe instead of kind of bending, I'll slide around a lot more, like. sometimes I'll even slide to the right note. But again, that's gonna really preserve a lot of stuff in your hand. So first of all, you know, it's like, that's not really a phenomenal tip. Play the major scale. But starting on the G string and then kind of building your scale or your foundation from there is a great way to maybe start thinking about acoustic guitar soloing. The beautiful thing about that is when you start your major scale on the G string, like there, it really runs you into this spot right here. Now again, if you're in the key of C major, there's a C major bar chord, a C major kind of triad shape that maybe you've seen before, where it's like your pointer finger is on the 8th fret and the E and the B string right there, and maybe your middle finger's on the 9th fret of the G string right there. That's a really cool spot to just do different licks that you've probably heard before, and it definitely sounds better, maybe not better, it sounds different than if you're just playing in like a scale shape, right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna incorporate, this is like a section 2, like a second part, because I'm climbing up into, getting closer to that high G right here. And I'm really just thinking about sliding into the major third of C, which is an E. It's the 9th fret on the G string right here. And then getting 8, 10, 8, 10. So just messing around with these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 notes, right? Knowing where the root note is always helpful. 8th fret is a C, right? So far we've done really an entire octave from this C here all the way to this C here with 2 different positions. Now the next position we're gonna go is gonna just take off from here, okay? So I actually think of just the B and the E string right here because I think it really helps, and it might be a shape that you're familiar with. If we think of where we ended on the B string from this spot, what's the 10th fret on the B string? Well, you could count all the way forward like B, C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, so on and so forth. It's always easier to count backwards if you haven't had the frets memorized yet. So B, B flat, A. All right, if you watched a lot of these videos before, you'll know that in the key of C, the relative minor is A. So the A minor scale is something that maybe you've used before. Now again, you can start it right here. And there's that 6th note A minor scale. Like I'm thinking, you know, you can, depending on what fingers you use, pointer, ring, pinky, pointer, ring, pinky. Once I get down here, I actually probably use my pointer and my middle finger for that whole step right there. So just like that. I'm thinking of A minor, but again, these are just notes in the key of C in a different position that lead you all the way up to the G on the high E string. Now, why are we stopping at G, you might ask? Well, depending on what kind of guitar you have, you might not have a cutaway, and this could be as much access as you have to the high register. This Taylor Builder's edition has kind of like a fake cutaway, where on the back it doesn't look like there's a cutaway, but there's like this scoop, so you can get higher. But again, we'll just take it from here to the G, because again, that's another note in the C major chord, and since we have like a C major chord loop, we can start getting into here. And that's going to lead us all the way. So again, we have 3 concepts working here. We have the C major scale starting on the 5th fret of the G string. We have a 5 note, think of this as pentatonic if you want, because it literally is, on a C major chord, where it's just the voicing plus the 10th fret on the B and the E string, right? It's always helpful to think in soloing as far as where the chords are, right? This is just a C major chord, and then we're gonna add 2 notes to it, and then we get a whole little mini scale out of it. And then we're gonna pick up from where we left off right there, 10, 12, 13, 10, 12, 13, G. Okay, so now if I wanna play something, I can start like, all right, I'm in the 10th, I'm gonna go to the 10th fret. Okay, so all that stuff sounds very major-y because we're playing all the notes in C major over a C major dominated chord progression. Cool thing is this works for any of the chords in the key of C. All of this stuff is movable because we're not relying on any open strings. So let's do, let me erase that loop real quick, and then maybe we can do another group of chords in the key of C, but without using a C major chord. So maybe I'll start with like an A minor 11, like, to an F major 7. And then add like a G in between, right? Everything still applies. Again, there's that C major triad, even though that's not a chord. Alright, so now I'm just kind of matching what I'm hearing, exploring that same shape. And again, it just takes me from all the notes from here to here. And the beautiful thing about acoustic guitar is the brightness of the highest 3 strings in this register are going to sit, I think you'll probably agree, quite nicely over the foundational chords of something, right? And I'm not even just playing open chords. Like, these are tried and true closed voicings that sound great through the Fishman Loudbox Mini. Again, these are really cool. The padded cover is really nice. So I would highly recommend, if you are going to get an amp, something like this, you want to get the cover with it. In fact, I actually just got the Fishman cover for my Loudbox Artist. I wish I would have gotten that right away because I've been gigging that a lot, and like the corners are starting to get beat up just because I'm throwing it in and out of my car all the time. So again, really, really cool deal they have on these because, you know, you're hearing this at a fraction of the volume, and it definitely fills the room. Perfect for even just like a practice amp to have at home. But yeah, anyways, just some kind of quick tips on doing different guitar solos. Let's do one more thing maybe in a different key, just so you can kind of see how all this stuff is movable. Let's go down. Let's go to B flat. So we'll move everything 2 frets back. Okay. So let's say I have maybe a B flat. Let's do the same chord progression as we did the first time. It'll be B flat major 7, C minor, D minor. Okay. So. There's D. Now again, where am I going to start? There's the B flat. There's my major scale. There's that triad. So there's the minor scale, the relative minor of B flat, which is what? Again, is B flat. 3 frets back, it would be G, so you just find the G on the A string. So, just different ways to do the exact same thing, right? Just find out where your root note is. The nice thing about these bar chords, like this, like if I'm playing B flat, the G string is always going to give you the root note, and that's where you can build that pointer ring, pointer middle, pinky, pointer ring, pinky. So we have part 1, we have part 2, and then we have part 3. And then you have a great amp for a very reasonable price. And really, there's nothing to stop you. Definitely get a looper. In case you're interested, I'm using the Pigtronix Infinity 3 looper. I like it because you can do like different parts and stuff like that. So I'll link all the stuff in the description if you guys are interested. Thank you to Fishman for sending this amp over. And if you have any questions, hit me up in the comment section, Instagram, Twitter, or the website. I'll talk to y'all soon. Thanks a lot.